Hello, mixtresses and mixters, kittens and cats. Whoops, nope, that's not where we are right now. That's what I do for my patrons. Hello, mixtresses and mixters. This is Mixtress Ray. You're watching Mixtress video. Okay, so that's just an acknowledgement that if you are one of my patrons, I appreciate you so much, and I'm really glad you're here. That just kind of lets me know some of my patrons might be watching this video too. So hi. Okay, we're doing a pick a pile today. I am doing mostly animal, nature, shamanistic vibes today. There is like some kind of construction or something happening outside, so, but if I don't leave my window open, it's going to be very hot in here. So I'm just doing it. Just going with it. So here are your piles. This is Crow Tarot in here, Mystic Mondays, and Wild Unknown. The oracle decks I'm going to be using for each pile, I'm going to be picking an animal from Animal Spirit Oracle. I might as well just take these out of the box as I'm showing them to you guys. I'm going to be using my brand new, brand new to me, it was used and I got it on eBay for 12 bucks. Total Score, Urban Crow Oracle. So I will be looking at the guidebook today on that one simply because I don't think I'm going to need the guidebook for this deck, but I do want to get a feel for it as I'm using it for the first time. This one I rescued from my giveaway box, so we're going to see. We're going to see. I never use it, Mystical Shaman Oracle. Never use it, but I'm going to give it a chance today and see how it reads. I'm sure I've used it on a pick a pile before, but it might have just been like a long time ago. And debut on this channel, I've had this deck for a couple of weeks now, 2 or 3 weeks, and I've been kind of keeping it to myself for some reason, but finally ready to use it for you guys, and it is Witches Familiars Oracle. This is an animal deck. So yeah, we're going for mostly animal vibes today. Let me find a place to set down all of these boxes. Yeah, whatever, just throw them on the floor. They're just boxes. Okay, let's get into it, shall we? Light the candle and go. It's too far of a reach for me. Okay, can you see the flame? Yes, okay, good. All right, let's start with pile 1. Had to bring out Crow Tarot since I just got Urban Crow. This is my first pick-a-pile reading of the week, so it's like starting over every time. I'm off on a Tuesday this week, which is totally throwing me off because I'm never off on Tuesdays. I don't have a clear vision yet about like the subject of this reading. Of course, you can probably see that in the title because it's usually the reading itself that kind of reveals to me what it's about as I'm doing it. So you know, but I don't know. But what I'm thinking so far is spirituality is kind of the idea here. Spiritual path in our lives, like where we're at right now. Because I do want to pull 2 cards from Urban Crow Oracle. And the idea is that with these 2 cards, one of them is going to be sort of like where you are, and one of them is going to be where you should be. It's going to be sort of the aspiration card, is what I'm thinking. We'll just start with that. We'll start with these 5 cards, and if we need more, then we'll get them. let's pull your, okay, let's go ahead and pull your Urban Crow. Because this is going to be, these two cards, what I'm thinking, there's going to be one here, and the idea is going to be, this is sort of like the best possible outcome of your spiritual path, and this is going to be kind of where you are right now, is the idea. It's Hay House cardstock, so it's not terrible. It's not as bad as US Games. I feel like Hay House has gotten slightly more reasonable as of late with their cardstock. Maybe. But it's still difficult to shuffle. Okay. That's what we got for you. Move this over to the edge, and this one's just going to be over here. Well, I mean, I guess it depends on where I feel like putting the rest of the decks as well. And we'll get you an Animal Spirit card as well. Oh, so much easier to shuffle. Sometimes I like literally get like hand cramps and straining from shuffling modern tarot decks. Sorry, I'm saying it like that because, not because of disdain, but because the general consensus seems to be, make it unshuffleable. That'll be fun. And then we'll put something in the guidebook that says, don't riffle shuffle. Okay. Don't shuffle this deck. Yes, you bought a deck of cards for cartomancy purposes, but why shuffle it? Alright, this one is, I probably should have brought the guidebook in the room with me. I did not think about that. I might have to stop this and go get it, because this one, part of the reason why I don't use it that often is because some of the cards require explanation. Maybe I should add keywords to it or something. I don't know. This one is this Witches Familiars deck. Is so delightfully cheesy. You know that, you know the old Hooters slogan? I think about that sometimes. I used to have a Hooters t-shirt. On the back it said, like their slogan for the restaurant, I guess, was delightfully tacky, yet unrefined. Oh, I love it. I think about that a lot. Okay, this is the one right here. Okay, pile one, let's start flipping your cards over, shall we? We're gonna put this one in the middle because it's the smaller card. This Witches Familiars card is like the biggest one, I guess. Okay, tarot. You've got the Lovers. How interesting. You have the Lovers and the Devil as part of a spiritual path reading. I find that very interesting. And then you have the Knight of Cups, the Devil, the Six of Wands. This has been coming up for me a lot recently. I need to sort of like figure out what my relationship to, what my own personal interpretation and relationship to Six of Wands is. And then we have Four of Swords. And then I'll turn these Urban Crow cards over last. So one of your animal energies today is Magpie. Addiction. So we have like all these little baubles here. What is over here? Oh, like a little box. Bunch of little trinkets and baubles, a little box, and then you've got a castle back here. So definitely dealing with like consumerism addiction in the Magpie card. You have Earthworm, Earnest Beginner. And then your Mystical Shaman card is the Ghost Dance, which is a beautiful image, but it's intentionally washed out because, you know, ghost. So it's kind of hard to see what's happening there. So yeah, I am going to need the guidebook for that, for sure. Which is part of the reason why that deck is in the giveaway box. Because I don't mind consulting a guidebook for fun, but I don't want to have to, you know what I mean? So, okay, let's flip these over. So this is sort of where you are on your spiritual path is here, and like the best possible outcome of your spiritual path. For right now, I guess. Like, not necessarily forever, but for right now. Is that card. Okay, so we've got Night here. And then Abundance. Okay, I'm getting a pretty clear picture so far. Like, to go from addiction to abundance. To go from, it's almost like right now, you're seeing abundance in a skewed way. You're seeing it as collecting stuff, collecting little trinkets. But real abundance is different. Real abundance is like, I mean, yeah, there's way enough for all of these crows. There's enough for all of these crows and then some. Real abundance is, it's not that exciting, you know? These little fishies aren't like super different from each other or super exciting or like super, yeah. They're not like interesting little shiny baubles, but they're sustenance. And that's the important part. Choosing abundance in the form of what you actually need and what is actually like taking you further on your spiritual path versus the addictive behaviors of consumerism. That's how I'm seeing this quite clearly. Instead of, this isn't being offered a gift of, here's a new tarot deck. This is being offered the gift of love. That's true abundance. And you're getting that confused because one of the things about like the Lovers and the Devil are their sister cards in the major arcana. They go together numerologically because, you know, 6 and 15 adds up to 6. But also in the symbolism of like the traditional Lovers and Devil card, it is always, you know, the angel above and the two figures below. We don't necessarily see that in the imagery of this deck, but I still see it that way. No matter what deck I'm looking at, I'm still thinking about the Rider-Waite-Smith, which even just having that as part of this conversation, I think is significant because it doesn't matter how many fucking decks you have, bitch. It doesn't matter because what is the most abundant is actually possibly the least interesting. You know what I mean? So I'm encouraging you to go towards something boring. This looks boring. All of these like identical fishies, but they are going to sustain these crows for a while. I do want to know, I'm going to need the guidebook for both this and this. I do want to know what this Night card represents, since it's not like a traditional keyword. Maybe just like in general, like you're going through a dark night of the soul. It is here that all the chatter, all the noise, all the action of the day subsides and quiet returns. Night creates a space to contemplate the day as a whole. What event had the most significant impact and will help you grow? Are there events such as petty squabbles that serve you little and can be released into the dark? This is reminding me of the Depeche Mode lyric. I'm waiting for the night to fall, where everything is bearable. I think of that almost every day as it's getting dark, because I'm always like super overstimulated in the daytime, and as soon as night falls, I feel calm again. But the sort of reversed aspect of this concept is the dark night of the soul, is the idea that one of the reasons why I will feel very relieved once night comes is if there was a bunch of stuff that I was supposed to get done during the day and I self-sabotaged all day long, by the time night comes, I get to feel like, well, it's, the day is done anyway. It's over. I didn't do it. It's fine. And I mean, that's also fine. It's not like you have to be productive all the time. But there is a self-sabotage aspect to the dark side of this night card and the devil energy in general, right? You are keeping yourself chained to something, and you're telling yourself that this is helping you on your path, whatever this is. And I am personally seeing this as an overconsumption issue, because this has been my issue ever since the tornado, to be honest. Like, my coping mechanism ever since 2011, when a tornado destroyed my life, has been to shop online. It has been my way to avoid emotion, deal with emotion, and at times it's been an interesting and okay coping strategy, as opposed to, like, I don't know, becoming a drug addict or something, I guess. This is better than that, but it's still keeping me stuck on my path. And so I am sort of relating this whole thing to me. There is love being offered to you. There is, like, whatever that creative project is that you have in your head that you're like, well, I couldn't though. I couldn't do it. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Approach anything with the earnest beginner category. Approach any task, goal with as much of the fool mentality as you possibly can. That's how I'm seeing this earthworm, is sort of the fool mentality. Now I need to go in the other room to get this ghost dance card, because it's not in here, is it? No, it's not. I keep, like, some of my guidebooks in here and some of them elsewhere. It's so disorganized. Okay. Try to hold this up. I don't know how well you can see it. It is quite a pretty card, though. The ghost dance of the American Plains Indians united the spirits of the living with those of the ancestors to bring peace to the world. When the ancestors are honored, they bring harmony to us. When we hold them responsible for all that is wrong with us today, they haunt us. Okay. When they're honored, they bring harmony. When we blame them, they haunt. Honor the spirits of the ancestors and receive their lessons and gifts. The ancestors have a message of healing and a powerful medicine to offer you. Create a sacred moment at your altar, light a candle to them, and let their wisdom infuse you. At this stage in your life, you are done repeating their tragic stories. Step into the abundance that is offered to you. Knight of Cups. Receive the gifts of those that have come before you and write a new story for your life. So again, I feel like this, of course, a lot of different patterns repeat themselves in these readings, because I am one brain offering these readings to you. So I have similar things to say about different things. But one of the big things here is, what story are you telling yourself about the trauma of your life? Because it's time to let some of that story go. It's time to realize that some of that story no longer needs to define you. I mean, yes, like, if I'm relating this to myself, the tornado was a huge event in my life. It destroyed my home. It destroyed the homes of many people in my town. It was a huge event. It was a big deal. But it was 12 years ago. Next month it'll be 12 years. So, yeah, it's a part of us. The traumas that happen to us are always going to be a part of us, but they don't have to they don't define us. They define us less and less the older we get. If we allow the trauma to fade, if we allow ourselves to heal. And I do think that's kind of why this Four of Swords is here. I feel like it's almost like we've had this time. We've had this rest in between traumas. It's not like we're ready for another trauma. That's not what I'm saying. But it's like we are more resilient than we're giving ourselves credit for. We are worthy of this abundance. We are. We just have to, like, transform the addiction to the abundance. That's how I'm seeing this. Okay. That is your reading, pile 1. That felt short and sweet, kind of. Maybe not sweet, but short anyway. It's April 11th and it's already just like, where I live, it goes from being like mild, somewhat cold, if we're lucky, during the winter. If we're lucky, we get some cold weather. And then it just goes right back to being fucking hot again. I want to move north, where it's colder. Okay, pile 2. We're doing Mystic Mondays Tarot. And the idea is that we're doing sort of a spiritual path reading. Although I'm already getting, like, for pile 2, sort of a... It's like, even though you clicked on the video that probably says, like, spiritual path reading, blah, 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 you kind of, like, bristle at that term I'm getting. Like, you hate that term, you're interested by it, it's intriguing to you, but you also kind of hate it. You're like, spiritual path, we'll see. We'll fucking see. Sorry for the, like, construction sounds outside. Hopefully it's not too bad for you guys. I don't need to have it all the way up at the top. It annoys me when I'm watching these videos back and I'm seeing, like, why am I putting them all the way at the fucking top of the screen? They don't need to be all the way at the top. Because I have room to move them down a little bit. Okay. Let's pull an animal spirit card for you guys. What animal guide wants to come through to help guide you on your spiritual path? I'm just going to keep saying the phrase spiritual path until you guys become acclimated to it. Exposure therapy, right? Get a mystical shaman card. Talk about, like, a cheesy phrase, right? Spiritual path, mystical shaman. Like, it's taken me a long time. Like, if you are one of those people that, like, if I'm tapping into my path or pile 2 babies correctly, if you are one of those people that like words like that, or when someone says something like, Spirit is saying blah, 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 blah. I used to, like, hate that so much when somebody would say, Spirit is encouraging you to, it's like, it's language though. I have gotten to a point in my life, I'm 40 now, where, like, that shit, like, it's just language. It's just language. Like, there is a concept, there is language that you can translate it to for yourself. Like the term doesn't have to be spiritual path. It can be your life journey right now. It can be your walk. I don't know. It can be so many different things. That's why I like to say ghost guides and goddesses instead of spirit or something like that, even though it's the same exact concept. I don't say God. I don't say spirit. I say ghost guides and goddesses simply because no one else says that. So it, to me, doesn't feel overused. Because we could be talking about ancestors. We could be talking about spirit. We could be talking about God. All of these concepts are the same. They're just different words used. So I would even encourage you that if you are a person that bristles at the terms that people use for these spiritual things, if you do dislike that shit, make up your own words for it. Make up your own terms. Whatever works for you. I would encourage you to do that because these are universal concepts that people are trying to put universal words to, but they can easily sound cliche. I've been there. I am there. This is how I feel about some of these phrases. They can be triggering, like especially any of us that grew up in a religious environment. Anytime we feel in like an oppressive religious environment, like Christianity or something like that. Not to say that all Christianity is bad, but most of us that grew up with it, it probably was kind of an oppressive experience. So anytime I personally will see anything that kind of mimics that, that sort of dogma, mimics that sort of dogmatic, prescriptive, hierophant energy of spirituality, I'm very triggered by it. It's not for me. So I feel you, is all I'm saying. That's what I'm tapping into now. Hopefully that's right. 2 of Cups. 2 of Swords. Okay, a lot of duality already. We got duality and partnership and all of that. Ace of Pentacles. Are you doing? Justice. Talking to my neighbor. I can't see what he's doing, but he's always the noisy one. Always. Someday I'm going to live in the country, guys. Someday. The Fool. And 10 of Pentacles. So getting some ancestry energy. That's the ghosts of your ghosts, guides, and goddesses. There's a partnership though. I think like as far as like talking about a spiritual path, the thing that's always been helpful to me whenever I think of the concept of ghosts, guides, and goddesses and spirituality in general, for me personally, I have to obliterate the hierarchy. I can't be thinking of ghost guides and goddesses as knowing more than me. I can't think of ghost guides and goddesses as being all powerful, better than me. I have to obliterate the hierarchy. I have to know that I see eye to eye with my ghost guides and goddesses, that they are not better than me. It's the Slytherin in me that is preoccupied with hierarchy. Although I don't want hierarchy. I want everyone to be equals. And this is, and we've got the Justice card here and the 2 of Swords. We've got lots of balance here. Every single card is an even. 2, 2, Ace, 11. I guess maybe that's an argument for Justice being at 8 because it's an even number. Interesting. But 11, it looks even. If you look at it as the 1 and the 1 adds up to 2, right? So it's good. Anyway, or Ace, I guess, is a 1, right? I was thinking of it more like a 0, like the Fool. But anyway, whatever. Even numbers. Mostly even numbers is what we have here. Let's flip over your Oracle. Okay, wait, I'm going to do the Urban Crow cards last. your, you instead of getting an animal, the Witch's Familiars deck is mostly animals, but you got nymph, because there are a few, like there's a nymph, a gnome, a fairy, a goblin, and a dwarf, which I don't know, feels a little yucky to have a dwarf, because there is a human equivalent. Anyway, that's a distraction. Nymph, promiscuity is your keyword there. Your animal is whale, emotional health, and calm. So it's going to be about your spiritual path right now is about balancing your emotions. And we also have this nymph she's like a water nymph. Are all nymphs water nymphs? Maybe. I don't know. But she is standing in the water. And there's all these like waterfalls in the background as well. Your mystical shaman card is soul retrieval. There's another phrase for you to enjoy. Spiritual path, soul retrieval, ancestors. That one's a bit triggering for me too, because what the fuck does that mean, soul retrieval? But I think it means wholeness. It means recapturing bits of yourself that you've lost, in however you conceptualize that. If you conceptualize it in a spiritual way or a more psychological way, it's about integration of self, is how I see that. So these two Urban Crow cards, this is sort of where you're at right now with your spiritual path, and this is where it would be great for you to be. This is like a best possible outcome for your spiritual path. So we have fear as where you are now. And I am picking that up, like sort of the way that you bristle about like all of these spiritualities that you try on, spiritual paths that you try to walk. It's like you're ranting and raving about every single thing that you try, and I think part of that is motivated in fear. This card is almost like the anti-fool, right? This crow is not going to jump off the scarecrow. This person is not going to take that leap because they're scared. When this is kind of where you should be, quote unquote. This is kind of where it would be better for you to be. Because that way, again, just like pile 1, the end of your path is abundance to a certain extent, because that is what the 10 of Pentacles is. It's abundance. It's being aligned with all that came before you. It's using the knowledge. That's kind of the concept of ancestors, right? Is like not repeating the same mistakes that others in your family line have made. It's about moving forward and doing better than they did. Okay, here's your sort of like best case scenario. Freedom, oh my God. So you go from fear to freedom. You go from feeling constricted to feeling beautiful and free. So the rest of these little crows, you could see them as possibly still being in this fear mentality, but you have broken free. And this is about self-integration. That's how you get there. About how, healing your emotional well-being, because doing that will help take care of the fear. And some of this is also just taking some chances. You need to trust yourself, know that no one else is better than you. That's kind of like, instead of seeing this as like sort of a soulmate card like I might normally see a Two of Cups, right now I'm seeing it in the sense of, with the Two of Cups, you're seeing eye to eye with someone. No one is better than anyone else. We are all just fools making it up every day as we go along. And once you realize that, you will be given the gift. I'm sort of seeing this Ace of Pentacles right now as being the gift of, I'm seeing it more like an Ace of Swords right now for some reason. It's like you will be presented with this new understanding of the universe once you realize, once you integrate these parts of yourself once you attain more emotional health, which it might mean this emotional health whale card might be about going to therapy or something. Maybe that's part of your soul retrieval, is about sitting down and naming the different aspects of yourself and how they need to work in harmony with each other. Because that's another key word for Ten of Pentacles, is harmony. I'm seeing the emotional health, the Ten of Pentacles, the soul retrieval card is all being like working together to help you deal with fear. So maybe it's even just something as simple as like your spiritual path right now, whether or not you resonate with that term, is about managing your anxiety. If you have a shit ton of anxiety in your life, which like so many of us do, right? That's why we those of us that are drawn to tarot are a very anxious bunch. We really are. We're using cards to try to manage our emotions. And it's helpful. It works. It's a good thing, but it can also keep us trapped in. If we're always sitting in our closets playing with tarot cards, I am in my closet right now. If we're all sitting in our closets playing with tarot cards, instead of actually going out into the world and experiencing it, because the thing with freedom is it's not constricted, it's open, it's a lot less controlled. So I think that in your life, fear is a system of control that isn't actually controlling anything, it's just making you feel smaller. So I am going to look at, sometimes the keywords on this particular deck are distracting to me. I want to see what the message for nymph is. Water nymphs are known as naiads and preside over bodies of fresh water such as fountains, brooks, waterfalls, and wells. Light a blue candle. Hey, look. It's a blue candle. Already lit. Done. And face the direction of west. Oh my god. This is west. So we've done it, guys. It's a spell. Light a blue candle. Face west, which is the direction that we are facing right now, because my window, which is to the right, is north. We are facing west with a blue candle. Okay, starting over. Light a blue candle, face the direction of west when casting nymph magic spells. Circe, the Greek goddess of magic, was an enchantress and a nymph. Okay, so that's sort of the description of what a nymph is. And then I'm going to read the familiar's foresight, so sort of like the message from the card. Go with the flow and ooze your natural sensuality. An attractive proposition is a great catch. Visit a sex therapist. Promiscuous behavior stemming from early abandonment. Embrace your worth for greater confidence. You don't have to put out to be popular. Just say a big fat no. Okay, so I'm just going to see this generally as part of overcoming your fear. Balancing your emotional health is going to be about dealing with your sexuality in whatever way that means for you. Like for some of us, realizing that we are sexually different, neurodivergent in sexuality, perhaps. I don't know. That doesn't really make sense, but you know what I'm saying. Maybe for you, there will be a name that you can put to who you are. Maybe you are a person that has more sexual needs than others around you. If you feel like a sexual pariah, whatever your sexuality is, however much desire or little desire you have, however much whoever you are attracted to, I think being more open about your sexuality, or lack thereof, you may be asexual, and that's okay. Being more open about who you are is going to help heal your emotional health, and is also going to help you knit yourself back together again. And this could also be however your sexuality is presenting itself could be a reaction to sexual trauma. And it's really hard to separate that for me personally, and probably for others, as I'm sure for others as well. Like, it's hard to know how much of my sexuality is to do with how I was born, if I was born that way, versus whatever traumas I dealt with along the way. I'll never be able to know how much of my fear of sexuality is because of trauma versus I was just born that way, so I should accept it. You know, there might be some things that you can work through, and that's going to be very healing for you. Like, all of these cards are beautiful, wonderful cards, right? This is just the thing to overcome. Fear is the thing to overcome. And so if you can, yeah, I see the advice right here as sort of like therapy. And don't feel bad if you can't fucking afford it. I can't either. I do my therapy for myself with a bunch of fucking tarot cards in a closet. Is it a perfect solution? No. Do I need actual medication? Maybe. But do the best you can with the resources you have, you know? There's a lot of resources out there that don't cost a damn thing. There's a gazillion beautiful self-help books. There's a gazillion terrible exploitative self-help books as well, available at your local library. You're going to be able to tell the difference between something that's helpful and something that's not. Trust yourself. Trust yourself. Trust your instincts. If you do start down a path of checking out a free library self-help book and it's feeling a little icky to you, that's okay. Turn it back in and get a different one. You know what I mean? Pursue your emotional and sexual soul completion, soul wholeness, health. Because you will get there. Freedom and Ten of Pentacles can be yours. Yes, there will be work that needs to be done. There might even be some paperwork involved. That's the downside to the Justice card, right? Is sometimes there's paperwork involved. So maybe you are going to be seeking out a formal diagnosis for something as a step towards your emotional health and well-being. Like, it was extremely helpful to me to get an autism diagnosis. Extremely helpful. And you can self-diagnose. You don't need someone else to validate you. But if that is something that would be helpful to you and a good step towards your own emotional wellness and freedom, do what you gotta do. It's a psychological deep dive, I think, is what's needed for you. Because there are aspects of yourself that you are either not, it's like you need to come out to yourself about something. You need to share some real truths with yourself. Sit down with your journal. Figure out what's going on. Because you might even be able to tell, more so than I can with my own life, you might even be able to separate what is trauma and what is how you were born. And another aspect of the Nymph card is like looking to your childhood. And by that I just mean looking to who you were as a child at your essence. Maybe that's part of the soul retrieval. Is like, if you go back to a time before you were ever traumatized by life, if you go all the way back to whatever age that was, when you were a total free spirit, what were you into? What were you like? How can you bring those aspects of yourself back and knit them back together again? Yeah, I think that's a good place to stop for pile 2. Thank you guys so much. And I am going to take a little break before pile 3. Okay, pile 3. Again, just like I apologize to piles 1 and 2, I am so sorry about the construction sounds outside. They're a bit distracting, but I'm just going to go for it because most likely they're not as distracting to you as they are to me. Okay, pile 3. We're using Wild Unknown. I don't think I've used this deck. Wait, no, I have. I used it recently. Most of the time I don't use this deck for others, though. Most of the time I just use it for myself. And it is spring, so I have been using this deck outside again, so it's got some good spring nature vibes infused into it from my backyard and my porch, both directions, west and east. Okay. So we're looking at spiritual path today. Your ghost guides and goddesses, what do they want you to know? Yeah, that one. Okay. I think that's everybody for the actual tarot cards. And then get an animal spirit card. And one from Witches Familiars. Okay, there we go. One thing, even though I rescued this mystical shaman from my giveaway box, it is on the like slightly older Hay House cardstock that is more flexible than the newer versions. So if I get rid of it and then I want it again, I'm going to be sad. So I should probably just hold on to it, right? Just because it's a deck I don't use that often. Like, it's doing well for this reading anyway. It is passing the test so far, for the most part. So I'm giving it a chance. I'm giving it a chance. All right, so the idea with the Urban Crow Oracle, which I just got yesterday, I don't know if I said this in the introduction or not, so I'm just going to say it again for you guys. The idea is I'm going to have one card as sort of your spiritual path where it is now, and then one over here that's going to represent sort of the best possible outcome for your spiritual path. Okay, this is the best possible outcome over there. Yeah, it's this one. Okay. All right. The Star. The World. Holy shit. Big energy out the gate. 9 of Wands. This is possibly my favorite 9 of Wands. This is what I think of when I think of 9 of Wands. I think of the staircase as being like, you're almost there, but you got to walk on these little brambles on the way. Judgment. Holy fuck, guys. What's going on? What's going on in your life? And then 7 of Swords. Okay. Cool. Well, let's think about this shit for a second. We got 3 major arcana cards towards the end. 17, 20, and 21. Star, World, Judgment. Then the 9 of Wands is kind of an almost there. Kind of an almost there. A completion of a cycle. So, because this is a spiritual path reading, I'm seeing this as being kind of like you're almost there. You're almost to a very big realization. Or you just had one, and you're still kind of reeling from that epiphany or realization or wake-up call in your spiritual life. So we've got water, so an elemental card. Again, sort of like an emotional health vibe, like we got for pile 2. Your animal spirit is tarantula. Follow your intuition. I saw that coming when I first picked up the deck for you guys. The tarantulas caught my eye as I was getting ready to shuffle. I knew the tarantula was coming. And for my, somebody that recently messaged me on Instagram was asking about decks with spiders in them. If you're here, I feel like you might have picked this pile. So hi if you're here. And then we got Black Cat, Independence. And this black cat in particular has this like third eye on her forehead. You can see that. Follow your intuition, water, the third eye, plus all of these advanced into the major arcana cards. Really the only thing that feels like a blockage here is the 7 of Swords. Only because the little fox is concealing this last sword. So there's like I feel like there's some aspect of yourself that you're kind of holding back. Maybe you're not fully letting your intuition unlock because, okay, this seems to be something that's coming up a lot, so forgive me if it sounds like I'm repeating myself from previous readings, just in general, not today, but from other, like last week or the week before or whatever. I feel like you need to create your own very specific path of intuition, path of your own spiritual path. It's not going to look like anyone else's looks. You are going to have your own way of doing things. And for me, whenever I have my own way of doing things, it always feels like I'm doing it wrong if I'm not doing it the way other people are doing it. It's always like kind of both, though. I have a very dichotomous relationship of self. So it's like, on the one hand, I want to be doing something that no one else is doing. I want to be unique, but at the same time, when I see others telling me I'm doing it wrong, it's like I'm confidently going forward, just sort of instinctually. I make up my own path in life, but whenever I start to see other people reacting to my path is when I second guess myself. So I am encouraging you to not worry about what other people are thinking, not worry about if other people think that you're lying or not, if other people think you're inauthentic or not, if other people think you're doing it wrong. Just ignore those motherfuckers. It's not about them, it's about your own path, and your own path looks different than other people's paths. Okay, for some reason I saved this till the very last. Ghosts is where you are right now. And anticipation is where you want to be. Interesting. So I'm seeing this anticipation card as being sort of an excitement and an exuberance for life again. Like, I want you to feel that sort of like looking forward to each day vibe again. But in order to do so, you've got to follow your own intuition, regulate your emotions, know that you are independent, that you're not going to be doing it the way that everyone else is doing it. Your path is your own. Pay attention to those, like, the call is coming from inside the house moments, which is how I view the Judgment card in general. Pay attention to those moments. Allow yourself to integrate. That's another aspect of the Star card. Like, the first keyword that always comes to mind when I look at the Star card is healing. But integration is another, integration, harmony, are other big words in conjunction with the Star. Allow yourself to heal. And I see this Ghost card. I am going to look at the guidebook for this one. But I'm seeing that as like a grief. Like you are literally, like a part of you is still existing in the cemetery of either a symbolic death or a literal one. There's a piece of you that's still existing in this grief space and not allowing you to heal and close the door. Because it's time to heal and close the door on that grief. Not to say, like, you'll never think of that person that passed on again, or that your personal ghosts in your life don't matter. Just because you are feeling, it's almost like you're not admitting to yourself how healed you already are. You feel like you're healing too fast, or you feel like healing means forgetting. That's not the case. That's not the case. Everybody deals, and this could be why this Independence card is showing up too. Everybody deals with grief in their own way. And if you have a very weird idea, a weird coping style, like you think of it as a weird coping style that you have sort of stumbled upon in your grief process of whatever you're grieving, like whatever it is, if it's more of a concept or an actual person, or just a trauma that you're healing from in general, you're not doing it wrong. As long as you're not hurting anyone else, you're not doing it wrong, and your method of dealing is good for you, and you could even help others with it. This Judgment card could even be you sharing your coping styles with someone else, and it being a wake-up call and an aha moment, an epiphany moment for them as well. Okay, let me look at this Ghost card. My battery's about to die, so if it dies mid-sentence, I'm okay, everything's fine. Ghosts, shadows of the past. Let them visit, but don't let them stay. They no longer hold substance in your world, and if they linger too long, they may become trapped in your psyche. Have you ever found yourself having an argument with someone who wasn't even in the room? Oh my God, every time, this just reminds me in general, every time I go visit my dad's grave, we fucking argue. Just like we did in life. Because I always bring, a tarot deck and an oracle deck at least with me, and I try to have a conversation with him, and it goes badly. It goes badly. I can't open the doors to talking to him. And so I don't visit him very often. Because for the most part, our relationship is best left to the past. Ghosts ask you to examine your feelings regarding a past event. Are you able to find acceptance and move forward into healing? So there's a certain amount of acceptance from your personal ghosts. Again, whether that be an event or a person or a relationship or whatever your ghosts are, there are some aspects to let go of within those feelings and that relationship that you still have. Like, this could be coming forward as like dreams about an ex. Yeah, it's almost like, I think this water element card is like, what have you not dealt with yet? What still needs to be dealt with? And you're ignoring, it's almost like this little fox is your inner knowing and your intuition hiding from you this one little aspect. I want to know. I want to like tap this little fox on the shoulder and get it to like jump up and run off. I want to startle this fox, which I never want to startle animals ever, but I want to startle this fox because I think that once you uncover what this last sword is for you, once this last sword is uncovered, you will get to the top of this staircase and you will have your epiphany moment if you haven't had it yet. And it's possible that you have had it, but you haven't been willing to look at it yet. Because it's almost like you feel bad if you have a good day. I want you to have all the good days. Okay, that's a good place to stop. Thank you guys for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.